Hello there, Ray here, and today guys, I'm going to show you how you can make these weird double-headed pistons in survival. Now these aren't cursed blocks like the ones I've shown in the past, which were more of a visual glitch. These are actually physically here. There's actually a block right here as well as a block over here. And if you guys haven't already subscribed, be sure to go ahead and do that, as 75% of the people that watch my videos are not subscribed. And we're getting really close to 75,000 subscribers. Now this is something strange that came about when I was working on the automatic floor placer video. I had an observer clock that was going into the carpet duper and it was pulsing it back and forth kind of like this. And what I accidentally did was put the piston in sideways, so I was trying to remove this piston and put in a new one. And I was using that cool trick that I showed where you can actually instantly replace blocks in mid-air by breaking and placing really fast like this. And I was trying to do the same thing to the piston to make the piston face this way. So I was trying to break and place a new piston there at the same time. And this is what happened. I got a piston head sticking out this side and a piston pulsing on this side over here. And I can go ahead and turn off this clock and I can power this piston. And now we got a piston head over here and a piston head over here. And I'll show you guys this is not actually a ghost block. I can actually relog. And you can see the piston head are still here, like they're physically a piston head right here. Now this is a collab video with Ed Example, one of the Project members. He's going to make a separate video explaining how this works and why this is possible. So you can look forward to that video on his channel. And he also has a lot of other cool videos, so if you guys haven't already, be sure to subscribe to Ed Example. He also does a lot of code digging too, to figure out why we have these strange behaviors in Minecraft. Now in my video, I'm going to cover how you can do this, as well as some cool uses for this, and what are the possibilities of this type of piston. Now first thing you might notice is that when you remove power from this side, only one side actually retracts. This side here, this side doesn't retract. Now if you stick like a power source here, update it anyway, it doesn't actually like vanish or break off. This is like a stable piston head. Now when it comes to trying to do this, you want the piston to be moving back and forth, and you want to have the piston broke and quickly replaced with a new one. So I'll go ahead and go into survival, and you can kind of see like this piston, how it's breaking. When every time it moves, it kind of resets the braking animation. We come on the front here where like the piston head is. Also notice that if you try to break it, every time it moves, the braking animation also gets reset. So it's kind of hard to do in survival, and this is because this piston, every time it goes into block 36, it's actually an invisible block. So let me actually show you. So this would be your normal piston, and there's actually a block 36 that you can use the set block command to illustrate what it would look like. So it's called moving piston. And this block actually exists in survival as well. And essentially the block is right here, and you can't place any blocks there because there is a block there. It doesn't have any texture, you can walk through it, you can't interact with it anyway, like you can't bump into it. And this is the block that the piston actually goes into for a short period of time. So between the piston being closed and the piston being open, it goes through this invisible stage. And this is why when you try to break it in survival, every time you start to kind of make some cracks on it, it goes invisible and you end up clicking on the block below it and trying to make cracks on that. And that will reset the cracks on this one as they got moved over to a different block. So the way to break it is make sure you're not actually facing any other block when it goes invisible. So if I stand like here, kind of facing upwards, you see I can make cracks in it without worrying about them resetting. So you can do this a couple different ways. You can just have air below it so that you can sit like here and break it. So if I face downwards, you see I'm actually able to break the piston off without it constantly resetting. The hard part comes in placing in the next piston, because essentially you want to place that piston in during the stage when it's moving. If you place in this stage, it's no good because it doesn't have a head sticking out. And if you place in this stage, the piston head will see that there's no base and it will pop off as well. So you kind of have to do it right as it's moving. So if I would like try to place this in, break it and replace it, you see it doesn't work. And why that's hard is because when you're breaking this, you can't be facing any block. Otherwise they'll reset the braking damage, but you kind of need to be facing another block in order to place in another piston. But it's possible to do that trick that I showed you guys the last time, where the instant swapping block breaking trick, to place in the block as soon as it is removed without actually having anything to place it up against. So you have to be pretty fast at placing the block. So I'm going to break it. So you see it's possible to actually place in a piston in the exact same spot without actually clicking on anything behind it. There was nothing down here that I was actually clicking on. We won't always get a double-headed piston. So it can be really tricky, but there's actually a much easier way of doing it. And this is by using two players. So if I would put a piston in this direction right here, and then we use my alt account, I'll put my alt account right here, will be put into survival mode, and I'm just going to be clicking straight ahead of me. And I'm going to use the F3 plus T trick. So if I hold down right click and press F3 and T, when the screen comes up, I'll release my right click button on this account. And now he's trying to place the piston there. Now I'll switch back to my main account. All I have to do with this one is break it. Both of them are in survival mode. And there you go. Pretty simple to do with 2 accounts. As soon as I broke that piston, he went ahead and instantly put in this piston, and now you can see that's the one getting powered now. Now you can come in here and remove the power source. If you want to, you can power both of them, and you can even bud them by putting a block up here, then removing this, removing that, and now they're both budded in the extended state. Now the difference you can see is with the base here, it's supposed to be squared, but there's a little bit taken off this side. And that is where this piston head is supposed to go into. Where on this side, there isn't that little indent. You can see the piston head is directly connected to the side here. Now when the piston head is extended, there is an extra little piece that they add onto this block. So if I highlight this block here, you can see it actually goes into the next block. So normally everything in a block, so most blocks stay within their little 1 by 1 meter area, but you can see how this piece right here actually extends over into this side over here. If I go ahead and set block in a piston head, put it right here, you can see this little piece that extends is actually extending into the next block over. And I've shown this in the past in some really cool things you can do it. You can actually make a wither cage using this too, as it extends over into another block so you can contain the wither without the wither able to destroy the original source of the block. It also has a very unique collision, as when it sticks out to another block, it will prevent things from like moving over there, which is exactly the same as like a cauldron. This is a world where I have all the different types of block sizes. So these are all on the side and these are all up and down. So you can see the piston head right here as well. And this little extension, which is shown right here, is the same as like the snow layers and even this bottom piece of piston and other things like cauldrons and anvils. But this world is really useful as it has all the different blocks. I also have all the different entities, but there's some bug in this version where entities vanish. So some of them are missing. So you might be wondering if you can actually get more than 2 heads, because currently we got a head over here. We got this piston, which is moving back and forth. There is room to put another piston like over here. So if I would come in here and break and place in another piston, you notice how this head over here is removed. This is because the head is stationary and it's always checking for a base back here. And when you break it, it notices that the base is missing and it'll pop off. Where this piston head, which is moving back and forth, doesn't recognize the base is there because it's not checking it while it's in this kind of invisible stage between these 2 stages here. So if this piston head over here was moving back and forth, it would be possible to put in another base without it updating. But at the moment, you can see that whenever we try to replace it, the piston updates. And of course, if you don't place it at the right moment, then the piston will also break off its head. You're only able to break it when it's actually doing that moving. You can do some pretty strange stuff like this here. We have one coming up and one coming out the side. Maybe you could use this for some kind of aesthetic thing. It almost looks like a mushroom sprouting out the top. But does this piston head actually pull anything? So I put like a block here and remove this. It's going to move this one inward again. This one's not actually going to change. Now, even if I break this here, it's not going to like retract or anything and pull this downwards. You can do this in any direction you want. So you can do like one piston upwards and then come in and another piston downwards. And yeah, it looks pretty strange. I mean, especially if you would stop this bottom piston, and then maybe you could come in here and kind of cover this piston up like that. And then you could come in and power this piston. Let's see if you had something like this maybe, and a lever. That could really fool your friends, especially if you had like other stuff removed from here so that they know you don't have any other piston. Like you can hear the piston, but this one's obviously not moving. Now you can't hardly even notice that this one is the fake piston top. There's a slight difference in the base. So like this base here would be actually shorter. See how it's shorter? But unless you have them side by side, you really just don't recognize it. It looks like a normal piston, doesn't it? Man, if you had like 2 of these pistons side by side, it'd be like, what the heck's going on here? You got a tall piston and a short piston. That's a really good one. We gotta put this one in the Project Zoo. Now the ones that are 45 degrees to each other are pretty cool looking as well. And of course you can come in and bud it just like so. That one looks pretty strange just because of how close this is on the edge here. But I love the back-to-back ones because it's clearly, you can see both sides. It's pretty obviously that something's strange going on here. Now so far I just showed you guys sticky pistons, but you can also do this with normal pistons as well. You put in the piston here and the source, and you can come in and switch it out with another one. Now you have a double normal headed piston. Now you can actually do this with sticky and normal. So if I do a normal one and a sticky one, you can see we still got a normal one on this side, and on this side we will still have the sticky. So if you really wanted to make some odd looking display cases, do this. Now you can also come in and put the piston in the exact same location and direction as the previous one. So this one's extending towards me, and if I break and replace this one, you can see what happens. We get a piston head that is extended, that's stuck into a piston that is not extended. Very strange looking. Definitely something to show to your friends as well as your favorite Minecrafters. Now back here, this pulse is still going. It's still trying to power this, but it can't actually power it. So this is kind of the same circumstance as if there is a piston head that is extended and you're trying to push another piston into that. So this head is trying to push into this head, and this block is immovable. Same thing's going on right here. This piston is trying to push into this head, but this is an immovable block. So even if I would stick like a piston over here and try to power this, it's immovable. Now you could come in here and place in a piston like right here, and you could power it. It's going to move this because this is movable. This isn't movable. So watch this. You can see how once the piston is removed, the head will update. Now you can also do this with normal pistons. So there's your normal piston there, and you can put in another one. That's kind of clean. And you can also do two different types. So you can do a normal piston and a sticky piston. Now if you come in here and break this head here, the way that the game kind of does this checking, it's going to break the head and also break any base that's connected to it. Technically, it thinks this is connected to this. So if I would break this head here, you see it also breaks the base over there. But if you do this in survival, it's kind of different. If you break this, you see it doesn't actually break this over here. So there's kind of a difference between breaking it in creative and breaking it in survival. Now you might wonder what happens if I quickly shove in another piston. So this piston is going to push this one over here, and this one's going to get pushed over here. So let's go put a power source on that one and update it. You can see it is possible to shove a piston very quickly over here, and it won't update this head here. And that's by putting this lever on top of the piston. And the way that works is because the power source goes to the piston when you flick it, and then immediately pops off. So there's no power source there, so that it retracts. So you can watch the lever update pop off very quickly. And you can see I switched out this one with a sticky one now. So long as there's some type of piston back here, this won't pop off. Now even by doing this switching, you're not able to get more than two heads because the head here is stationary and all we're doing is moving in one piston. So even if we put like the piston in this direction, we're still just adding in one piston and we're not ending up with like more heads or anything like that. A lot of weird stuff you can do with these piston tricks. If you guys have any ideas you want me to test, let me know down in the comments. I really had a lot of fun messing around with this and I hope you guys really enjoy this video. And if you guys did, make sure to share it with other Minecrafters so they can learn about it as well. And I'd like to thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. And then if you quickly break and replace this one, bye-bye.